Happy May, everyone. I'm so excited that the weather is finally changing for the better, especially here in Chicago because it's been cold for way too long. We're about to get into the late spring and early summer season, and that to me officially kicks off a host of events. We're talking festivals, we're talking outdoor concerts, and one of my favorite events, conferences. Yeah, as you see in the title for this week's episode, I want to help you all make the most out of your conference experience. Whether you're going to a conference for the first time or you are a repeat attendee, or maybe you're a speaker or a vendor or something else, I definitely want to give you these few tips that I want to share from my own experiences from attending conferences. So, get your planners together, get your calendar together, get your notes, because I'm giving you these points. In fact, I may just put these points up so you can see it for reference. All right, this is Tatiana Green, your host for Journey Through 30. Like I said, last year, 2017, I was a women's conference out. I went traveling like every month from May through September. And most of those events that I attended were conferences. So I've seen it from planning a conference to decorating for a conference to attending a conference as just an attendee to attending as a potential vendor. It's a lot to deal with in many angles, but for the most part, I don't want the same experience as everybody else. I want to go there and I want to get something that is the return on my investment, because your girl has to work with a budget. I have things that I need to take care of, and I don't want to spend my money on an event and get information and not do anything with it. And I don't want you all to do the same thing. As we go through this journey through 30, I want us to experience conferences in a more dynamic way, a more efficient way, and something that allows us to help not only build relationships with new people, but create connections and get our purpose fulfilled through these practical ways. So I have some tips here that I'm going to share with you so you can have a good time and possibly meet some cool people. Now, these conferences, I'm not mentioning any specific conference. In general, I'm talking about maybe you're going to a conference that is for your job or for ministry purposes or for self-improvement. All those are great ideas and great themes for conferences, for events, for forums, etc., etc. You want to go to those things because you want to continue to be in a state of learning. That's how you stay young. That's how you grow as a person. That's how you mature. That's how you make connections. That's how you expand your network, because you never know who you're going to meet when you go to these events, especially if they're out of your comfort zone, out of your hometown, out of your state, or even your country. There's some diehard people who go out of their own country just to come to the States to attend conferences here. So kudos to y'all. I'm not there yet on the international conference attendance game, but it's definitely in America. We are conference and event happy. So you don't waste your time. I'm giving you these several points. So let's get into them so I won't take too much time away from your conference planning activities, okay? So one of the first things I would say is to plan ahead and look up or follow the speakers and event producers. Research is key in all of this, especially when you know for sure you want to go to the event. You signed up for it, you got the emails for it, you saw the Instagram posts on it. You are hooked. You got your tickets. You're ready to go. Give yourself a heads up by looking up who's running the event. If you haven't already figured that out, find them, follow them, and see what they're talking about. Get the behind the scenes story, get the purpose behind the event, behind the conference, so you have a more well-rounded and comprehensive context as to what you're getting yourself into, especially if this is a new conference for you. Now, you may go there because you know a couple of personalities, or you may be drawn to the theme or the purpose of the event, but get to know the people who are running it and see how they are doing their thing and see what is driving them to start this, what their intentions are, and what they plan for you, the attendee, to get out of it. Secondly, be kind to everyone. Seriously, be kind to every single person. If you, like, for example, are going out of town for a conference or an event, you want to speak to everybody you can and be genuinely nice to everyone, from the Uber driver who picks you up from the airport to the hotel, service people at the front desk, to the person who's cleaning up the night after the event is over. Whatever the case may be, say hi to everyone you can. Just be polite, greet folks, because you never know who you're going to run into. Even if you're going there by yourself, you want to, speak, you want to make connections and make friends with people, but don't be so anxious to go after the people that everybody else is going after. Be cool with getting to know other people that are around you. And that in turn will help you get connections to other people. This happened to me. I went to the Woman of Purpose conference in Dallas, Texas in 2017. I would definitely recommend going to that one because it was bomb. And I went by myself. I think I was probably one of the only few people from Chicago to go to this Texas-based event. So I'm there and I say hello to pretty much everybody who I meet eyes with. And I didn't know this, but I was just, making small talk with one of the girls I met there, and she introduced me to her best friend. Her best friend was running the event. So I'm like, come on now, you can't even make that stuff up. Instead of me trying to strive and get to the main event runners or the main speakers, whoever like that, I was able to talk to people who were working behind the scenes, who were volunteers, who were vendors, and I got a chance to meet the people who were running the actual event. So speaking of that, don't be afraid to ask questions in the breakout sessions or in the classes or the small groups, or even when they have the large open Q&A sessions that most people love when they go to conferences, including myself, even the panel discussions. Absolutely. I put in parentheses in this point, be that person. I've been that kind of person since I was in school, especially in college, where I knew I was paying for my degree. I did not go to school for free. So guess what? Tatiana is going to get up and I'm going to ask a question because I want to make sure that the teacher heard me and that I get my question answered. So even if you feel like you don't have a lot to say and maybe you are not thinking about asking a question, you want to get a question in your mind because you want to be able to engage with the people who are running the event, because you don't know, have you been on the other side of running an event like a conference? It's a pretty big deal. We got a lot going on for us, and we would love to get feedback from people who attend our events, who ask us questions, especially if it's about a subject that we're knowledgeable of. So if you ask a question, you're not trying to stand out, but you stand out because you want to let them know, hey, I came here for this reason. I have this question. I need this answer. And you never know. You are probably asking a similar question that somebody else in the audience is too afraid to ask. So that's why I say be that person, because you never know your question and the answer that comes with it is going to help several other people in the room. That happened to me again at the Pinky Promise conference in Georgia last year. I asked a question and it got answered. There were some laughs because of the kind of question it was asked, but that's another topic for another day. But it was fun. We had a good time and people got the answer, and hopefully it hit some people in the heart too, because it was one of those kind of questions where it was kind of general. It wasn't super specific to my situation, but it's more so something that everybody needs to know. All right, so that's that point right there. We're moving on to this next point, which has all to do with one of my favorite things, social media. So when it comes to these conferences, especially these new age ones that are geared towards the millennials, we're all on Instagram and Twitter. Okay, so we have hashtags. So I would say follow the hashtags and play the game. Okay, let's start with one of those sub points. Follow the hashtags. Okay, if you are on Instagram, you have the option now to follow hashtags. So if the conference has a hashtag specifically for that event, follow the hashtag. That's how you're going to A, get to know people, and B, get updates on the conference because you want to be in the know, especially if you invested your little money to go up in this conference or this event. You want to get every last minute detail. And if you use, Instagram or Twitter, those are your primary social media sources, then that is your best bet for those updates because not everybody wants to check their email. If you follow that hashtag, you'll get the updates in your timeline. You won't have to worry about searching for the event or looking it up some other way. It'll come to your timeline. You won't have to worry about it. Another reason why I say play the game when it comes to following these hashtags is because you want to participate. Going to a conference or an event is an in-person and online experience now. So not only do you have people who are doing like the web or live streaming portions of these huge events, you also have the social media aspect of it in which they're marketing and promoting it. They're showing the Instagram stories, they're showing the Periscopes, the Facebook Lives. You want to get involved in some kind of way. So play the game, share the reactions, share the posts. Do what you got to do because at the end of the day, you want to participate. You want to let them know, people who are running the event, that you're there, that you are representing. Share where you're from, share why you're there. It could be any reason. I'm making this generic because there may be multiple people who are going to these events for multiple reasons. So if I was going and I'm a vendor, I would definitely represent like my business is in the house, hashtag whatever the hashtag is for the event and make yourself out, put yourself out there, get in the mode and the mindset of networking because networking increases your network. And then your network helps increase your net worth. So this is a business strategy, but it's also very easy to do and helps you become more social and acclimated to the event before you get there and during the event. Next point, where the boys at, or should I say where the men at? All right, I've been talking about conferences for a few minutes now, but I've noticed in my adventures in conference attending that there's not that many men that go to women's conferences. One of the things that grinds my gears is when women say, "Oh, there's no good men over here. There's no good men here." I'm like, "Are you going to just women's conferences? Because that's all you're going to find is just women. Why would men go to a women's conference?" You're going to have to go to conferences that are co-ed, that specialize in either industry or ministry, the marketplace, a special subject, anything else like that. I went to the Black Women's Expo this year in Chicago. Hey, and there was a comic convention in the same venue. Different floors, different rooms, but all different types of people. We're talking about people dressed up like superheroes and anime figures. And we got some women with natural hair, black girls, black girl magic. It was two different worlds, but they came together in one place. And I jokingly said, if you're into nerds, you can find you a man at this comic convention because that's where all of them were. We saw a lot more men at this event for the comic books than we saw at the Black Women's Expo. So, hashtag get in where you fit in. If you like that kind of stuff, go to it. Go to where you're interested in. Go where you want to build your skills. Go where you need to build yourself up in your industry. And if you are interested in meeting people of the opposite sex, don't just focus on just the women version of that conference. Focus on a co-ed version of that industry conference. Like the Women in Business conference is not going to have a lot of men there unless they have a men's panel specifically. And even then, your chances to find an eligible guy to talk to are slim to none. So go to a conference that specializes in serving men and women. One of them that I can't wait to go to, and it's not for the guy reason, but because it seems so awesome and relevant to me as a young leader, is the Young Leaders Conference. It's hosted by Minister Mark Moore Jr. So he's out there in Atlanta and has all types of different sections that make up this whole conference that happens every summer. So they have stuff for singles, they have stuff for business people, they have stuff for ministers, they have stuff for musicians. So you can find a whole gamut, a variety of men to talk to and women to meet with if you are interested, not only in expanding your network, but getting to know people of the opposite sex. Definitely invest in your time and your money in going to a co-ed conference that will better you as a person. All right, so if you ever wanted to know, I'm just saying, just putting that out there. Now, this is a bonus point. I wanted to put this in there because as a foodie, I think it's important that we all be able to survive when we attend these events, because the sessions sometimes can run a little long or overtime, or it may be in a place where you're in a food desert, basically, where all you have are these overpriced, not that great tasting mini restaurants, and you can't go too far out because you are pretty much crunched for time. So I would suggest to pack a lunch that is not going to fall apart or melt, if you will, in your bag, something that's easy to eat and not that noisy, so you can just snack while you're learning. Also, you want to bring a journal so you can take notes. You can get a small journal that's specific to that conference, one of those little ones from the dollar store that have like 50 pages in it. That's a pocket size one. You can just put it in your purse or in your pocket, write in it, put it back in your pocket, and call it a day. And you can just write the name of the conference on there, and all the notes are in there. That's a pro tip right there, because not everybody likes to type on their phones, or you might lose your phone battery trying to type everything when you're trying to take pictures. So I would suggest getting one of those small spiral notebooks. If you don't have business cards, get some printed out. I use Vistaprint to print out my business cards, but you can use moo.com. You can use all these other ones that are out there. Just get some business cards related to what it is you're doing. Either you have business cards through your job, or you have one that represents your business or your blog or your brand or your social media handles, anything. All right, so you definitely want to talk to as many vendors and sponsors as possible. Why? Because you get free stuff. And two, you make connections with business owners. A lot of these business owners, speaking as one myself, we want to work with the people. We want to work with potential customers. We want to work with influencers. So I don't know where you are, listener, on this, spectrum here. But we want to connect with you in a way that we can build a business relationship that will benefit the both of us. And that's what you got to go into with that mindset. Maybe God put it on your heart to sow a seed into someone's business because they have a heart for entrepreneurship and they're going after something. You can give them a donation or purchase something from their table, or you can get their business cards or follow them on social media. I mean, that stuff goes a long way. You may not have to necessarily patronize their business right then and there, but you can put someone on to their business by simply sharing their business card on social media, or signing up for their newsletters, because you never know. They send out coupons or discount codes, and then before you know it, you are a repeat customer because of the connection you all made at this event. Also, from a blogger perspective or influencer's perspective, you want to get involved with as many vendors and sponsors as you can, because you never know one day when you will need to make those connections for yourself, for your own brand, for your own business. For example, one of my sisters in Christ, her name is Portia London Miranda, and she is hosting the Forum. Is one of the major events for bloggers and influencers, creatives that are coming up in the month of June. And if you're in the Chicago area, don't want to miss the Forum. The theme this year is Beyond the Blog. So she has been going after this goal of making sure that the attendees are getting the most out of their experience. So she's been talking to vendors, she's been talking to sponsors and local sponsors, women-owned sponsors, minority-owned sponsors that are going to help make the event even bigger and better. And how did she secure these sponsors? By going to events, by talking to the vendors, by talking to the sponsors, and building those relationships for something that was later on down the line. So don't be afraid. They need you as much as you need them. So work on that, cultivate that relationship, and see where you both will be able to help each other get to in the near future. And so again, if you want to see more of the forum, if you are a blogger, influencer, etc., make sure you go to portialondon.com, and she has bonus tips that I didn't mention in this episode about how to make the most out of your event experience. She talks about attending events, and she has 3 different points that I didn't share in this post. So make sure you go to her site and check it out. I'm sharing her website in the description box below. If you have any of your own personal tips on attending a conference or going to an event, share it in the comments below, because we want to put people on game. They need to know how to be ready for the summer and the rest of the year going to these events. I don't care what it is. It could be a writer's retreat. It could be like a mission trip. It could be anything. You want to get your ROI, your return on investment. So that means you have to be present, you have to be active, you have to be strategic, and you have to pray. Pray for favor. There's been many times I prayed for favor by going to these conferences and events, and God has helped me. He hooked me up. Okay. I have yet to go to a lot of conferences that are on my bucket list, but best believe I'm gonna be up there. And one last thing, I'll be speaking at a conference coming up for the ladies. It's called the Enough Conference, and it's in Naperville, Illinois. So that's in the west suburbs of Chicago. So if you're in the Chicago area, I definitely want to see you there at the Enough Conference. I'm putting the link for those tickets in the description below as well. All right, so that's it for this week's episode. This has been your host, Tatianah Green, and you've been listening to Journey Through 30. Bye.